So here we go. I have opened up Atom here, so I'm going to use Atom to build the bookstore program, so to say, that uses Tkinter and SQLite 3 as libraries. So I'll go ahead and create a new Python file in here. Call it script1.py. Now, to build graphical user interfaces with Tkinter, you need the Tkinter library, and you don't have to install it because Tkinter is a built-in Python library. So all you have to do is go ahead and import Tkinter. If you are on Python 2, this would be with a capital T. In Python 3, it's Tkinter, simply like that. Good practice, however, is to actually import everything from Tkinter. So from Tkinter import all. So why we do that? We do that because we're going to use a lot of Tkinter objects in our scripts. So it makes sense to just load them all instead of referencing them with Tkinter.button, for example. Instead of doing that, we can just say button and then we enter the parameters and so on. So let me create a graphical user interface then. Now, a Tkinter program is made up of two main things. We have the window and you have the widgets. So, for example, the window is all this program here that you see, and then you have buttons and things like that, which are called widgets. So first of all, you need to create the window, and I like to call my variable window, and that would be equal to tk. That's it. That would create an empty window for us, but we need to do something more here. We say window.main loop. This is always necessary, so we open a window, we create a window, and then everything goes between these two lines, so you create widgets between these two. And this is necessary because if you don't have this, your program will open up and it will close in a split of a second. So basically this allows you to actually press that X button on the corner of your window and close the program. So this should be always at the end of your code. Now I'll save this script and going to execute it. And we got an error. It says tk is not defined, so Python is not recognizing this function here because it should be capital T. And execute again. And this is the window. And it has nothing inside, so let's go ahead and add a button. So we store the main window in a variable, and we're going to do the same for widgets. So we're going to create variables. Let's say b1 equals to button. So the button is a function that generates a button widget. The button function takes some arguments. If you want to get a full list of arguments, you'd want to do some code introspection. Let's say IPython here. And from Tkinter import all, and then let's say button and a question mark. And here you can see what parameters you can pass to the button function. Now the very first parameter you'd want to add to a widget is the variable of the window, of the main window. So you need to tell your widget the window that the widget has to be packed to. So window, and then you can pass parameters like the one you see here. Let's say one of the main parameters would be text. So text equals, let's say, to the string execute. So that is the text, the label that will be displayed over the button. Now if we try to execute this script now, you'll see that we don't have a button yet. And that's because we haven't specified where to put that button. To do that, you need to use the pack method, which is a widget method, and then execute again. And now you see the button. However, there is another way to actually put your widgets in your window. That is a grid method. And often is a matter of preference, so whether to use pack or grid. But the idea of grid is that with the grid method you have more control on the position of your buttons and your widgets in general, because here you'd specify the row and the column where you want to put your button. So everything starts from 0, and so the first row has an index of 0 and the first column has an index of 0 and so on. I actually found illustration for that. So this is a Tkinter program, and we have two rows here. So we have this first row which would have an index of 0, and you have the second row which would have an index of 1, and you have columns, so 0, 1, 2, 3 and so on. Let's say the OK button, which is this one here, would have a row of 0, 1, 2, so 2 for the row, and then 0, 1, 2, 3, 3 for the column. Then you might also have widgets which span in more than one row or column. In that case, you'd add another parameter here called row span. And that would be equal to a number. Let's say if you put 2, the button would span in 2 rows. In our case, this is not necessary actually, because we don't have lots of widgets, we only have one button. And so let me execute this script now and see what we get. So we get a button, which actually does nothing because we haven't specified what action to perform when you're pressing the button. And I'll explain that in the next lecture, but for now let's add some more widgets here, just for you to get more familiar with widgets. So let's add an entry widget, and let's say E1 for that. So entry1 equals to entry, and then guess what is the first parameter, and that's the window parameter. And we can leave it like that for now, and let's say a E1 grid and row, let's keep it in the same row and in column 1. Save, execute, and here we have an entry. So what's an entry? An entry is like an area where you can enter a value and then you can interact with that value in your script. So let's say you enter kilometers here, and you'd want to have a button that converts those kilometers to miles. So the button would get the value of this area here, and it would display it in another widget, which could be a text widget. So let's add a text widget. Let's say T1 equals text window, of course. And let's say T1 grid row 0 column 2. That's it. Execute. We got a very big text widget because the default size, the default height and width is actually quite a big number, so we need to specify 2 parameters for the text widget. We would need to put the height, let's say 1 cell, and the width, let's say 20. And so this is the widget area, and this is the entry, and this is the button. And that's it for this lecture. In the next lecture I'll show you how to put these widgets in live so that they can actually do something. See you in the next lecture.